presentación. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to start my class then. We are on page 57, 57. Ahí estoy yo, 57, 57. Curso de la DANAE, hasta aquí llegué. Oh, one. Writing. Ya, ahí vamos. The writing medio, no me gusta. Okay, this is writing, number one. So we are here. And this is something about, you know, that we are going to start checking. This is a writing, and it's an exam task. And the question is, have you ever had a lucky escape? And what happened? Yeah, this is what we have to do here is to create a story, right? And the idea is to be very creative, right? When we write stories, because when we write stories, what we have to do is to be, you know, I mean, very creative in terms of writing, you know, for example, it could be a story, but when we write stories in English, especially in these exams, is that we always give you, for example, the way you have to begin the story. So in this case, for example, you must begin the story with, it was such a lucky escape. This is the name of, I mean, not the name, you have to start with this. It was such a lucky escape. And from that, you start developing, you know, the story, right? So this is something that we have to do it. And you have to write this story in 100 words. You can work with someone else, but in this case, you can work alone. What could be your escape from each of these situations? Yeah, so we have some examples for you to, I mean, let's say to picture, you know, this story. It could be, for example, like what could be your escape from bad weather, for example, so as to help you. Or what could be your escape from being told off? Or what could be your escape from certain death, or what could be, for example, your escape from a pandemic, or what could be your escape from, for example, let's see, maybe from a terrible disaster, for example. It could be a disaster. So the idea is that you create your story, but you have to start with, it was such a lucky escape, all right? Now, first, I mean, before doing that, we have an example here, right? That we're going to read. This is what some students like you wrote about, you know, this task. And we have, for example, you see, this is the story that the student, you know, wrote. It's called The Great Exam Escape. So maybe the person, this student, as you can see, escaped from an exam. So wow, this is very, very, you know, special, right? Very difficult anyway. It says here, it was such a lucky escape. Yeah, remember, we have to start, everybody has to start with this. It was such a lucky escape. All right. Before the exam had started, so he's using past perfect, before the exam had started, comma, the strict, I mean, demanding. Danae, estamos en el 57, page 57. It was such a lucky escape before the exam had started. The strict chemistry professor had warned the students. If you continue to write after the bell, you score 0. Wow. Did you understand that? So the chemistry professor, as you can see, you know, was very demanding, very strict, because he told the students, if you continue to write after the bell, you know, or after the time that he is giving them, you will score 0. Very strict. So he's not going to correct anything if you continue writing after the bell or after the time. The hour finished, but one boy carried on writing. Continued. To carry on means go on doing something. He continued, you know, writing. You have failed, the professor said. The professor said this to this student, you have failed. But the boy was surprisingly calm. Do you know who I am? He asked. The professor explained very slowly. It doesn't matter if you are the president's son. Wow, you still failed. But you don't know, the boy continued. By this time, the professor was getting annoyed. I don't know and I don't care. The boy smiled, hid his paper in the middle of the pile of exams, and ran out of the room. You know, this is the story he invented. Remember that it could be true, it could be false, we don't know. But he has created, you know, this story that I think is a very good story because the guy is very creative, right? Especially this student. Maybe this is not true, I don't know. Okay, so it says here, read the student's lucky story and answer the questions. Why was the boy going to fail the test? First of all, do you know why the boy is going to fail the test? What is the reason why this boy is going to fail the test? So the teacher, remember that the chemistry teacher was very terrible. He was like a very strict man, a strict professor, right? That he's not going to accept any of his students to give him the test after the time. So if you give him after, so he's going to give you a 0. That's what he says. So the question is, why was the boy going to fail the test? Do you have the answer? Can you imagine the answer? Why was the boy going to fail the test?
Because he kept on writing after the bell ringed.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Because he gave, you know, him, I mean, he continued writing, so after the bell, right? That's why, yes, you're right. This is the idea. Okay, good. Number 2 says, why do you think the boy put his exam paper in the middle and ran at the end? Why do you think so? Why do you think the boy put his exam paper in the middle? Lo puso ahí entre medio, todos los otros en medio, in the middle, and ran at the end. Why do you think he did that? Why do you think the boy, you know, put his paper in the middle and ran out at the end? Why do you think he did that? ¿Por qué lo hizo? Why did he do that? Why did he put, you know, this piece of paper in the middle of the other, you know, I mean, texts? Why did he do that? Do you know or not?
Because now the teacher can't what's the word? Find the exam of that student. He didn't know who was he, so he hide. No sé cómo decirlo. He hide his exam in the middle of the
other tests, tests. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that way, the teacher
didn't know, or
I think that's not the order. The teacher. No sé cómo decirlo.
But what is your idea, Fabián, to help you?
Que como el profe no sabía quién era el alumno, el niño iba a esconder la prueba entre medio de las pruebas y así no iba a saber quién era.
Claro, that's the idea. So, I mean, I think that with the boys, you know, paper buried, como escondido, enterrado ahí, buried in the middle of all the others, the professor would have no idea, o sea, no tendría ni una idea, would have no idea, you know, a quién castigar, who to punish, or who to put the 0, a quién ponerle el 0. That's the idea, you're right. Okay, good. And then it says here, you see in the, you know, this is something important here. In the next exercise, in number 4, it says, work in pairs and answer the questions about the student answer. Yeah, so this is what we're analyzing in order to know how to write a story. This is the idea, okay? So the first part is, What is the purpose of each paragraph? What is the purpose of each paragraph? So for example, the first paragraph is, it was such a lucky escape. Before the exam had started, the strict chemistry professor had warned the students. If you continue to write after the bell, you score 0. Okay, so here, you know, as the first paragraph always has a purpose, right? And the purpose is that we usually set, you know, the scene in the paragraph number 1, in the first paragraph. That's what we do, as they are doing here, right? So they are setting the scene. In paragraph 2, as you can see, when it says, the hour finished, but one boy carried on writing, and you failed, the professor said, you know, and that the boy was surprisingly calm. Do you know who I am, he asked? Yeah, that's the second paragraph. So in the second paragraph here, right, you always tell the main part of the story in the second paragraph. So we have the first paragraph, we usually set the scene. In the second paragraph, we always tell, you know, the main story that you are going to tell us. In the third paragraph that we have, maybe we continue up to here, maybe he asked, the professor explained, yeah. Then we have the third one, but you don't know, the boy continued, by the time the professor was getting annoyed, I don't know, and I don't care, the boy smiled, hit his paper in the middle of the pile of the exams and ran out of the room. Okay, so what we usually do in the third paragraph, because the story, I mean, the idea is not to write, I mean, a very long story, only 100 words. And the third paragraph, we usually end the story. We finish the story. We end the story, okay? So this is what you do. So here if you pay attention to the first paragraph where we are setting the scene, right? The student is using past perfect just because he's giving background information about what happened, you know, the main story, before the main story. And then in the second paragraph where you tell the main story, we usually use, for example, past simple, right? Past simple and past continuous. And when we end the story, this is very common in English to use past simple and perhaps, it is not necessary, perhaps past continuous, all right? This is something that we always do. So remember, when we when we start writing, so when we usually set the scene in the first paragraph, we sometimes use past perfect, you know, to give background information, okay, about what happened before the main story. And then in the second paragraph where I have told you that we usually tell, right, the main story. In this case, we usually use past simple. It's very common in English to use past simple and past continue. And when we finish the story or end the story, in English, we commonly use past simple and perhaps, if it is necessary, perhaps past continuous, right? These are the three things that we have to keep in mind. If you analyze this paragraph, the story that the boy has written here, he has included, you know, these tenses correctly, okay? Now, it says in number 3, what adverbs and adjectives are used to add interest? Well, maybe in this case, right, the adjectives of adverbs that the boy is using to add, you know, interest to the story is, for example, strict. Like he said, wow, it's not any professor, it's a very strict professor. So he's using these kind of adjectives to, you know, to add interest. Also, when you say he was surprisingly calm, yeah, you know, because this is, some people sometimes react in a different way when this happens, right? But he was surprisingly calm. So this adds interest too, because maybe something can happen later. And we also use angry, which is an adjective that, I mean, sometimes used to add, you know, I mean, interest. Annoyed also, and the adverb quickly here. Okay, so what are we going to do then? So we are going to maybe, we're going to go to another student's answer here. in number 5, and at the end, we are going to create our own story. Not yet. We are going to check another example. This is another story, right? That you have to start with the same, information that it was given to you, that says you have to start or begin the story with, it was such a lucky escape. Right. Okay. The lucky escape was that maybe the boy was very intelligent because he put the test, in the middle of the other ones. So the teacher couldn't know, who to blame, for example. And that was the lucky escape. Here, another student, put a name, and he says, the trip to the cafe. This is the name of his story, the trip to the cafe. Yeah, and he started correctly, partió correctamente, because you have to start with, it was such a lucky escape, period. And then the boy started, he set the scene. 2 Australian students, okay, perfect, 2 Australian students. Then it says, spend the morning surfing. They plan to stay near the beach, but the waves bigger. Suddenly they realized that they were watch the other surfers and the waves push them towards the rocks. Okay. And then we have the second paragraph, and then we have the last paragraph when they finish. Okay. So in the first paragraph, this is very good because here the boy is, setting the scene. So where they were doing in that moment, you see this is, and what about what happened with the waves and the other surfers? Okay. Second paragraph, you tell the main story. And you see, they panicked. The locals, they swim away, a huge wave, yeah, we have the story here. And then we finish, we say, they climb up and reach the door. When a woman opened it, were amazed to find themselves in the tourist cafe at the top of the cliff. Okay, so we are going to complete now here. What are we going to do? We are going to use, complete with into the past perfect. We can use past perfect here, or continuous, or simple form. Continuous is when we refer to the past continuous, or, simple form, that is the past simple. All right? Well, exam tip, there is an exam tip at the beginning, al comienzo, that says continue a story, form a sentence by using past perfect to set the scene, then use past simple and continuous to tell the main story and end the story. All right? So remember, when we set the scene, most of the time we use past perfect. Then when we start, telling the story, that is the main paragraph, we use past simple and also past continuous in some cases. And then to finish the story or to end the story, we usually use past simple. Okay, so let's pay attention to this, and we are going to do it together. First, we're going to complete exercise 5 with the correct tenses, and then we're going to go back to start thinking about our own story. Okay? Yeah, let's start doing it. All together, pay attention, because this is also part of the test about the past perfect. This is the last part that you studied. So we are going to check this, right? Okay. So let's start with this. Remember the first part? Yeah. Okay, Fernanda, can you help us with the first part? It says the trip to the cafe, right? It was such a lucky escape to Australian students. The morning surfing. Okay, yeah. Can you start? Remember, when we usually set the scene, we usually use past perfect. Okay, Fernanda, I am all ears. Can you start, please? Are you listening to me, Fernanda? Fernanda? Or maybe another student. Javiera, are you with us? Do you have problems with your microphone or not?
I see.
Yeah, okay. Because I don't know what happens with Fernanda. I talked to her at the beginning of the class, but now she's not, I guess. Maybe she left. Yeah, okay, Javiera, can you start here?
Yes.
Okay. What are you going to put here?
Yeah, it was such a lucky escape. 2 Australian students spent
I would say no, because when we usually write a story, right? In the main paragraph, when we start, not in the main, when we start, we usually set the scene, right? And when we usually set the scene in English, we usually use past perfect. So here, you have to think about past perfect, I guess, because it's
had spent.
Yeah, that is better. 2 Australian students had spent, because past perfect, remember, it's usually used with had plus the main verb with past participle. That's why you say had spent. Okay, good. Had spent the morning surfing. They, yeah, remember that we can use past perfect and you can mix with past continuous, right? Yeah, they, what do you say there? They to stay near the beach, but the waves.
Ay, no sé, were planning? No, no creo.
No, I don't think so. I think it's a ver, let's, they were planning, because it says, look, follow the idea and the context. Pay attention to the context. Imagine that you see 2 Australians, I mean, they say that it was such a lucky escape. 2 Australians, you know, had spent the morning surfing. They had spent, habían planeado eso, o sea, habían pasado toda la mañana, pero no planeado. Had spent the morning surfing. They, después dice, they had, continuó, they had planned, y habían planificado también, they had planned, o sea, pasado perfecto, sigo, they had planned to stay near the beach. Yeah, they had planned, con double N, they had planned to stay near the beach, but the waves, ¿qué pasó con las waves? But the waves, yeah, the waves had got bigger. Suddenly, period, they, ya, mira lo que dice, cuidado con eso. Terminó toda la idea ahí, hasta bigger, porque después dice suddenly, o sea, hace un switch, cambio. Suddenly, they realized that while, ¿te acuerdas del while? Yo dije cuando, no sé si fui yo a usted o al otro curso, while, when we use while in English, most of the time we use past continuous because it comes, the idea is to think about an action in progress in the past. So while I was doing something, Maria arrived. Or while I was listening to music, Peter called me, right? So here it says, while, you see, they realized that while they, the other surfers, yeah, ¿viste? Algo pasó, mientras ellos hacían algo,
were watching.
Yeah, good. So while they were watching the other surfers, the waves, ¿qué pasó con las waves? They were, sorry, the waves
pushed.
The waves, ¿dónde estamos? They realized that they were watching the other surfers. The waves were pushing them towards the rocks. I think it's, you continue with that. They, you see, they were, you see, pushing, they were pushing, porque lleva la misma idea anterior, they were pushing them towards, you know, the rocks. Period, punto. Second paragraph, vamos al main paragraph, al párrafo principal, main paragraph, right? So, in the main paragraph, we can use past simple and past continuous when we tell a story, right? Because we start explaining now what really happened. Okay, you see, they panicked. They start with the past simple, you see? They panicked. The locals, yeah, so we start telling about this. The locals, this is number 6. Yeah, what happened with this? They panicked, the locals, yeah. Pay attention to this, Javiera. Mira la idea, Javiera. Dice, they panicked. Punto, un descanso. They panicked. Está en pasado. The locals, yeah. ¿Qué ¿Qué habían hecho the locals? It refers to the people that live in this
Weren't.
area. Yo diría que the locals,
Weren't.
yeah, weren't, o the locals had warned, también podría ser un pasado perfecto, ojo, the locals had warned them about that area, o sea, la gente del pueblo de ahí ya les había advertido acerca del área, del lugar, que era un lugar peligroso probablemente. Ya, ok. They, en la número 7, 7, they are away, ya, mira, cuidado, hasta donde termina, léelo, please, dice, they to swim away when a huge wave under the water. Yeah, they
Were trying.
estaban haciendo, exacto, they were trying to swim away when, y fue interrumpido, por una gran ola, ¿no es cierto? When a huge wave, ¿qué les hizo? When a huge wave lo empujó.
¿No? Sí.
When a huge wave, number 8, pulled, correct, them down under the water. When they finally, yeah, mira, when they finally, they, yeah, when they finally, ¿qué? When they finally came back, yeah, when they finally came back up, they inside a cave. ¿Y qué pasó ahí? ¿Dónde? Cuando pudieron regresar, como sí, volvieron atrás, pero como para arriba, así, they se encontraron que estaban a dónde? They
I'm not sure, but where?
Yes, good. They were, sí, they were pasado. They were inside a cave. They were inside a cave. So, looking around, ese es el número 10, ¿no es cierto? They were inside a cave, looking around. That someone, ya, mira, así como mirando, yo estoy mirando, estoy adentro, sí miro, oh, ¿qué? They se dieron cuenta de algo. They
Noticed.
Yeah, they noticed, con de, hay que agregar la de al pasado, es un pasado simple. They noticed that someone, ¿de qué se dieron cuenta? Se dieron cuenta de algo, que algo, alguien, algo antes. That someone, some steps at the back of the cave. Someone had built, ¿qué cosa? Some steps at the back of the cave. Yeah. They, ¿qué hicieron ellos? They reaccionaron y ¿qué hicieron? They
climbed.
Yeah, they climbed up and sigue porque dice end. Cuando está el end, lleva el mismo tiempo anterior. So they climbed up and reached a door. When a woman, yeah, when a woman, it
opened.
Yeah, opened, good. Opened it, they were amazed to find themselves in the tourist cafe at the top of the cliff. ¿Viste? Esta es una historia, o sea, inventada, obviamente. This is, I mean, the students have created the story, so it's something that maybe when you read it, you say, wow, what a terrible story. And maybe we don't know if it is true or not, but since the students have written, it could be an experience that they have had, or it could be something invented, okay? So we have to be very careful when we write, but in most cases, we use past simple in the main paragraph, and when we finish, we also can use past simple, or also past perfect. We can combine these three tenses are important when we tell a story. Past perfect, past continuous, when it says while the others, they past simple again, right? So past perfect, past continuous, y past simple. These are the tenses that we can use when we, tell a story. Remember, because when you start telling something, you set the scene, you usually use, past perfect. Of course, that in some cases you can combine with past simple or past continuous if it is necessary. And then in the main story, we usually use past simple. Usually, I mean, not all the time. That doesn't make it all the time. We usually use past simple, and when it's necessary because of the context of the story, and you can use past perfect if you have telling us about that something happened before that. And then past continuous when you say while we were doing something, another action happened. Okay? This is the idea of, you know, the three tenses together. So what do you have to do? ¿Qué tienes que hacer? Now, what you have to do, thank you, Javiera, for your participation. Thank you very much. What you have to do now is to start thinking about your own story. You have to create something short. No puede durar más de 10 minutos, tiene que ser cortito, something short, where you can write your own story in 100 words. 100 palabras es poco, no es mucho. Esto es un pedacito, something short. Like this story, The Great Exam Escape, that has, I think, a little bit more than 100 words. Okay, but you have to start with this. It was such a lucky escape. So as you see, these two boys were able to create, you know, a story using this beginning, right? It was such a lucky escape. You can think about whatever you want. It could be like this, you know. I think that the second story, I like it. I think it's very creative. The first one is also good, but I like the other one because I think that it's more creative than this, The Great Exam Escape. But both are creative, right? But I like the second one because I think it's more creative. Maybe you can think about something. It could be about a certain death or bad weather also, or whatever you want, right? And you have few minutes to write this story. Okay, babies? ¿Estamos claros o no? Are you clear about what you have to do?
Yes.
Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to write your own story, and then you're going to share with us now. Imagine that you are in an international test in this moment. So you have to start creating your own story. Remember, don't write, you know, more than 100 words. It's not a will, no es un testamento, it's not a will. It's an example of, you know, a short story that everybody has to start with this. It was such a lucky escape. Okay, from now on, we start. I'm going to give you 10 minutes. Les voy a dar 10 minutos y voy a parar la grabación, okay? I'm going to pause. Okay, so what we're going to do, babies, is the following. And we are going to listen to the task that you have just, you know, done in this moment. I would like to listen to Danae. Danae, can you share your task with your partners so they can have an idea also about what you're doing?
Text?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'm embarrassed, but I will do it.
Yeah, all right, try.
Okay. It was such a lucky escape. We were just walking by the street as usual, holding hands. I don't remember where we were heading, but I remember we had eaten before, because after the incident, the fear I felt gave me a stomachache. Well, as I was saying, we were focusing in our conversation about future. Obviously, we were over the clouds, just feeling in love when suddenly a tree fell in front of us. It was so close. I had that sense that I could have died. It was that close that scratched my face. And that's the story of how I got this little scar on my cheek. That's it.
Okay, I like it. Very nice. I really liked it. It was very good. I mean, in terms of grammar, I think it was very, very good. Thank you very much, Danae. Thank you. Fabian, oh, I listened to her perfectly well. Maybe she needs to, I mean, to give more volume to her, you know, I mean, microphone. Okay. Yeah, no, okay, Fabian. Bien, good. Let's see. No, I'm thinking about Danae, that maybe you didn't listen to her very well, maybe because her volume was not with the volume you know, very loud, probably. I don't know. Okay, so let's see, we can continue checking another, for example, Fabian, can you share your, writing with us, please, Fabian? Yeah, that's why Danae tenía el micrófono lejos. Sorry, por eso no escuchaste bien. Sorry. So, Fabian, did you listen to her? Did you listen to Danae or not? Tell me the truth.
Not very well.
Yeah, so maybe we are going to listen to her again because she had the microphone far from her, okay? Far from her. So let's listen to her again.
Miss.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay,
worry.
Danae, would you be so kind to read your story again because some students didn't listen to you very well because you had the microphone far from you.
Oh, I'm
All
sorry.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we can listen to you better.
It was such a lucky escape. We were just walking by the street as usual, holding hands. I don't remember where we were heading, but I remember we had eaten before because after the incident, the fear I felt gave me a stomachache. Well, as I was saying, we were focusing in our conversation about future. Obviously, we were over the clouds, just feeling in love when suddenly a tree fell in front of us. It was so close. I had that sense that I could have died. It was that close that it scratched my face. And that's the story of how I got this little scar on my cheek. That's it.
Yeah, okay. You see, so, and she has to start with, it was such a lucky escape, okay? Good. So, Fabian, can you tell us, share your story with us?
Are you sure?
Yes. Yeah, come on, share with us. We can laugh with you together, so that's good.
I haven't finished my story, Miss, but
My story?
I have something.
So you haven't finished it yet?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. No, the nice, very good, so don't worry. Very good. Okay. Javiera, do you have your story, or Gabriela, or Karen? Any of you? Krishna. Do you have that or not? Karen, do you have the story ready? Karen, she's not here. No? Yes or no? Not yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. But don't write will, right? Javiera or Gabriela.
Yes, I have mine.
Yeah, can you share?
I don't know if it's good, but I
Don't worry, Gabriela. Try to, let's have a good time with your story, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was such a lucky escape. It was early in the morning in my Catholic school, and we were supposed to go to mass before we start classes. But my friends and I didn't want to go. So we stayed in the hallway until it was empty. And then we went downstairs to the bathroom to hide there. Suddenly, the inspector appears to yell at us for not being in the mass. So we tell her that my friend was crying and we were staying with her because she didn't want to be alone. She believed in our story and she went away. We smiled and waited for the mass to end. Then we went to our classes.
Yeah, okay, I really liked it. Gabi, you pronounce Catholic. That's the way you pronounce Catholic with TH, Catholic school, all right? But it's clear, I really liked it. Thank you very much. Javiera, do you have a story now? Javi?
Almost done.
Yeah, okay, don't worry, we can help you anyway.
Yeah. Una pregunta antes, ¿cómo se dice como parada, pero de colectivo?
Maybe you can say parada, un paradero.
Sí.
¿Eso es lo que quiere? ¿Un taxi stop? O
Eso.
puede decir stop nomás, parada, stop. Taxi stop, porque colectivo no tiene traducción, colectivo es colectivo nomás, colectivo stop o taxi stop, parada. Así como se dice bus stop, parada, de paradero, parada, taxi stop, yeah. O taxi stand, también se usa taxi stand. Ok, Javiera.
Yeah. It was such a lucky escape. Some time ago, I was in a car with my mother. We were going home from the doctor when we almost got to the to the taxi stop. When we almost got to the taxi stop, the car, ¿cómo se dice? Chocar, crashed.
The car, I mean, the taxi crashed.
Taxi,
The taxi crashed
against another car because of a woman that tried to cross the street, and the taxi tried to avoid her.
Yeah.
Without killing her. The taxi crashed with another car. And yes, we had to go back to the doctor.
Okay. Right. So you had to go back to the doctor, and the doctor, maybe you can write that the doctor maybe checked us, and but at the end, you know, nothing happened, you know, to us. We could say we're safe, something like that. We are safe. So at the end, it was a lucky escape. You know, because you were safe. Both of you, or you can say both of us, me and my mother, for example, were safe and nothing serious happened to us. And then we were to a cafe to have a cup of coffee. Boom, that's it. So that was a lucky escape. Okay. Good, Javiera. Thank you very much. And let's see, Krishna, can you read yours? Krishna maybe is going to send me a chance, I guess. Krishna, are you listening to us or not? Maybe she left.
Miss, le salió sangre de la nariz y tuvo que ir al baño. Me está contando ahorita.
Okay. Karen, what about you, Karen? Are you ready now?
I will try.
Yeah, okay, good. I like when people say, I would try. Okay, this is good.
Okay. It was such a lucky escape. I was with my mother at the mall buying some clothes when a thief get into the store we were at. He started to be rude with the people in there, and my mother and I were near to the back part of the store. So we get into a closet and waited there until the thief were to another part of the store.
Yeah.
When the thief get far, we get out of the closet and run away to the to the front of the store and go out in a very quickly way.
All right. Yeah. So you see, this is correct. So the only thing that I could correct is instead of got, try to use the past tense, and then we go out, went out. You know, arrancamos, salimos para afuera, went out. Okay. And then near, Karen, near never takes two. El near doesn't take two. Sácale el two al near. No lleva nunca two. It's near the store, near the main doors, near whatever, right? But it's very good. Okay. So we are right with this, ¿estamos listos? We're right. So Fabian, you don't want to share your task, right?
I'm finishing.
You're finishing it.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah. Oh, good. Excellent.
¿Cómo digo falsa alarma?
False alarm. False alarm.
It was a false alarm. Like, it's correct to say that?
Yeah. Oh, you have to start. Remember, it was such a lucky escape. And then it was a false alarm.
No, it's the end of my story.
Okay.
Okay. It was such a lucky escape. I remember that that day like if it was yesterday. I was in school, it was a sunny day, and I was there with my friends doing nothing, like always. Suddenly, a heavy rain started, and everyone started panicking because they were going to get wet. Also was I. But 5 minutes later, the rain stopped. It was a false alarm.
Yeah. Okay. All right, good. It was good. Also was I is not correct. No está correcto. Also was I. Yo también. I was also. Ahí no se puede.
Yeah, yeah.
Ahí no se puede. ¿Ya?
Entonces, ¿cuál es la forma correcta?
I was also. I was also. Yo también. I was also. Right?
Okay.
Okay, that's it. Okay, thank you babies. Thank you very much. All right, so now what we're going to do is, this is, I think, at the end of this part, and then we have the progress test that I think Danilo is checking it or not. Your professor, su profesor Danilo, is he checking progress test or not? ¿Está checando el progress test, babies? Los que vienen siempre con él.
No.
¿Ah?
Aún no, creo, o sí.
No, not yet.
Fui a la última clase, alguien que me ayude.
No,
No
todavía
todavía.
no llego.
Ya, ok.
Estamos terminando las 55, así que creo que va a tocar el progress test.
Si no lo hace él, lo hago yo mañana, le voy a preguntar sin caso que no tiene tiempo. Puede hacer otra cosa también, si está lo mismo. It doesn't matter, right? So maybe I'm going to ask him. Yo le voy a preguntar a él por si acaso. I'm going to ask him. Yeah, what I'm going to do, babies, ¿qué voy a hacer yo? What I'm going to do. I'm going to start, tomorrow and also on Friday, I'm going to send you a guía, le voy a enviar una guía, una primera parte de la guía, después una segunda parte de la guía, where we are going to start reviewing, the contents, but what I'm going to do, sobre la marcha blanca, sí, Danae, hablé de eso, de la marcha blanca, que son estas 2 semanas y por eso no se puede hacer la prueba el viernes, ¿ok, Danae? Entonces, yo lo que voy a hacer, como ya terminamos con la unidad, hasta ahí llega nomás el primer semestre, hasta la unidad 6, unit number 6, I'm going to start with the, revision. Voy a tener que hacer una revisión de la unidad 4, 5, 6, because I want you to do it very well in the test, porque quiero que les vaya excelente, ojalá en la prueba que viene, la última prueba, porque no hay más en grammar, la última, donde incorpora unidad 4, 5, 6, and that's why what I'm going to do, what I am doing, ya lo empecé a hacer, I am doing, a new guía, where you can practice, donde pueden practicar, y ver cuáles son las debilidades, dónde están las debilidades. So, where you can find, so we can, work hard in that part. So, this is what we're going to do. And also, y también, we're going to also practice speaking, because we have the speaking. Después viene el speaking, acuérdense, speaking test. Después del grammar, inmediatamente después, we have the speaking test. And also, we are going to start practicing for that. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you lots of topics. Yo voy a mandar tópicos, so as we can practice, para que practiquemos así al azar. El que le tocó, le tocó. You pick up one, and then you start talking for 1 minute or 1 minute and a half. 1 minuto y medio each, cada uno. All right? So this is what we're going to do. Tomorrow we're going to start with the revision, and at the same time, we're going to practice speaking for the test too. In these 2 weeks. This is the first one, and the next one is also Marcha Blanca, and then the other one is where we start with our test, and also maybe we can practice more, especially with the speaking, because we need to practice. I need to review also pronunciation, because I feel that there are people who still make mistakes in pronunciation, especially when you talk about the past. Todavía hay gente que pronuncia con problemas, entonces voy a tener que atacar esas cosas y arreglarlas, ¿ya? Yo las tengo anotaditas por ahí. Especially the verbs, algunos verbos, que hay gente que todavía me dice, por ejemplo, I work it, o studied, en vez de studied, ¿ya? Esas cosas no pueden pasar. Es studied, y es worked, y es cooked. Si yo cociné, es I cooked, y no cooked, all right? So there are some things that we have to be, let's say, more careful, más cuidadosos para la pronunciación, porque pronunciación is important in the speaking part, en la parte de speaking. ¿Ya? Y entonces el progress test lo voy a dejar pendiente todavía. So what I'm going to do, lo que voy a hacer es, I'm going to go back, me tengo que devolverme a la 4, but as a way of practicing, como para practicar. But what I'm going to do, como ya terminamos, lo que voy a hacer, babies, es yo los voy a dejar por una sola razón. Because I have to work with the director of the English program, el director del programa de la carrera de inglés, el señor Núñez. No, me voy a juntar con él a las 12:23, las 12:23, pero tiene que esperar. Because we have to finish with the part of the report, una parte de la acreditación, tenemos que entregarla hoy, y nos queda un pedazo. Entonces yo me pidió que por favor terminara un poquito antes, yo le dije que sí, porque no me quedaba nada. Así que voy a terminar aquí con ustedes, y mañana empiezo el repaso con ustedes, y se los voy a mandar a la noche, y les voy a subir la guía, ¿ok? ¿Ok, babies?
Okay.
Krishna, okay, Krishna.
Okay.
Okay, Krishna, mañana you can tell me. All right, babies.